Hey everyone, this is Rangadad. Not financial advice, just the way I'm looking at the market. Um, kind of pretty flat overnight. Really struggling to get through. I think that's the 800 on the 15-minute. Yeah, it's tried a couple of times to break below which is basically the 1 hour 200 EMA, and still hasn't done it. We still haven't got a cross of the DMI either. It's come close a few times, or at least my version of the DMI. The critical thing is going to be this 200 EMA on the 15-minute, which is the 50 EMA on the 1 hour. It looks like it's building for a try to break back through it. And for a bull market, you would kind of expect that to happen. The fact that we didn't follow through on any of these candles is suggesting that this might be an accumulation. Like, this is basically just stop hunting for people that had their stop loss below this wick here. And looking at it, if you're using vector candles as targets for price, then we got to go down lower than 66k to get. Well, you pretty much got to go into the 65,800 level to even hit the next vector candle on the 15-minute. So if we do break below and sort of reconfirm on that 800 EMA on the 15-minute, then downside could be pretty substantial. You would be targeting potentially back into the 64,400 is sort of a number that for some reason keeps popping up. It's not really a vector in here, but it definitely seems to have a lot of liquidity in it when we look at the liquidation maps. So 24-hour, little surprised it didn't come in and grab more of that liquidity. Fairly big orders just come in here as well, or a number of them. And it looks like it's turning around and wants to come back into that area, which wouldn't surprise me. Like, there's a pretty big wick there. It typically likes to go into those wicks. So, it's just a matter of whether we break below. Probably this level here is really the key one. 66,900 odd. If we start to break through that again, I would expect us to keep going down at least into the high 65s and then potentially further. We've got to go out at least a week to pick up where those levels might be. 2 weeks. Still got that level there, which eventually you'd consider that insignificant at this stage. But the low 64s, 64,350, there's a fair bit of liquidity there if it wants it. And there was a bit of a seesaw effect in here. A lot of big volume up and down, very short amount of time. It's kind of an attractive point for price to come to, which is into that high 64s. So sweeping down into that low 64 is still a possibility. Like, when you look at it, we haven't really retraced that much from that high. But at the same time, there does seem to be a bit of interest in going up. If we look at open interest. Basically, we haven't really had a decent spike in open interest. Yeah, it seems pretty flat. Little bit of topping signals in through here, but I wouldn't pay too much attention to them when we've got these sort of colours here. Yeah, it's kind of just coiling. Whether or not it's a distribution or an accumulation is kind of going to depend on whether we break and confirm below the 800 EMA on the 15-minute, which I think confirmation really is just going to be breaking at this 66,500 wick. But breaking back above the 200 EMA on the 15-minute could be a good sign that we're actually going back up. And in this sort of environment, if we're doing that, don't know that we'd be coming back down. That could be the sort of the base level for the final push. And yeah, there is a lot of Bitcoin being exchanged in this area. So, you know, I'm actually leaning a little bit more bullish. I've got a long open. I've got a small short that's about 30% of the long at the moment. I just had that overnight. I didn't have it on last night. I just had it put it on before I went to bed, just in case we dropped a little. So yeah, it looks kind of like it wants that 200 EMA at this stage. Yeah, you can see here a lot of vector candles all in a small area, no real follow through on any of them. That's typically market makers holding price in here, but they're also able to get rid of or accumulate the Bitcoin that they have in this region. And we just got to try and figure out whether it is accumulation or distribution. So to me, it's looking more like accumulation. There seems to be less follow through on the red candles, the red vectors. So it's like they're selling into the bidders to basically drive the price down, and then they're actually buying it up at the lows. Kind of would make sense in here. It just it's hard to confirm that without actually seeing the movement. Yeah, it's kind of been a nothing burger the last day. As you can see on the daily chart, still got nearly 5 hours left on the day. So a pullback still wouldn't surprise me, but so far this value area high seems to be holding, and they seem to have found a decent level. And when you're looking at it on the 15-minute, there isn't, like, this vector you would consider recovered by this one. I mean, it was pretty well recovered by that drop there. And this one here, yeah, okay, it's kind of been recovered by that wick, which has then been recovered by this one. So you could say that, yeah, okay, that's potentially fine as a bottom. It doesn't necessarily have to come back to that. If we see a decent drop once we hit that 200, then definitely that would be the first target, around 66,600. But this stage, yeah, it's kind of looking more bullish than not. So tricky though, because momentum's kind of higher too. So we could just hit that 200 EMA and bounce off. And we haven't really tested the 200 yet. It's just sort of, we're getting closer to it. And one thing you can see quite a bit in Bitcoin is sideways action after a big move. And it doesn't matter whether it's long or short. After a big move, you get this sideways action down into the 200, and then it bounces off and moves away. Same thing can happen with the shorts. So as you can see here, so we could be doing something like this where we've had the decent first drop, and then I mean that was a little spike through it there, but sideways action, tested the 200, bounced away, and never really retested there again until it moved away in a bigger way. So that's certainly something to look out for. Even here, you sort of get that sideways consolidation. One last push up, didn't actually manage to get to the 200 or even the 800, and it just fell away. So I don't know whether that's the case. Like it could be this sort of thing. Just because we are in that bull market, there does seem to be a lot of buyers at this level. And I think if we look at the BTC longs, interesting that that's dropping off a little bit today. That's probably, if that closes negative, it's probably a sign that we're not done yet with the downside. That's probably the only real real concerning thing. Yeah, I think I'll take some profit once we hit that 200 EMA. The 15-minute. I mean, it's not looking super strong. Decent volume, but I can tell. Did they actually name these experts? Yeah. I mean, stochastic momentum has still crossed to the downside, but it hasn't crossed out of the bullish control zone. So we could still have another day or two of downside yet before bouncing, and we'd still be in that bullish control zone. If that happens and we turn back up, then definitely new all-time highs incoming, in my opinion. Not financial advice, but it would look that way. Have a quick look at other markets. Oh, Nasdaq. A few wicks to the downside here, so selling's being met with bull demand. It's kind of still showing up as bullish, but it's like everyone's ready for a rollover. So equal weight has, and it's still sort of continuing that downside, but the normal NAS still grinding a little bit higher. Sorry, struggling a little bit with some virus or something. He's waking me up at 4:30 in the morning. Can't get back to sleep. So SPY kind of still flat. Seems to be a lot of bulls still left in here. There's a bit of buying pressure still. It's just whether or not they can exhaust the bulls. Low volume too through here, so I don't know what they're waiting for. Could just be the earnings season. Things are a little flat through it. I'm still kind of expecting a little bit more of a pullback on this, just based on where everything's sitting. Global liquidity has jumped a little though, so could be supporting the markets a bit. The equal weight is down. So again, similar to the NAS, the equal weight is coming down, but the main index isn't. IWM's having a decent pullback. I don't think they'd leave that vector candle there very long. So it might bounce soon. Next couple of days. XLI's pulled back. Pretty decent pullback on XLI as well. XLY, XLP is still quite a high, still sort of going sideways, so not super concerning again. If we sort of break below this 2.39 on XLY, XLP, then okay, it'll probably lead to a bigger dip, bigger pullback in the market overall. KRE, little bounce. No huge concerns there, but we'll see what happens if it gets back down to this trend line. ITB, so home construction's dropping quite hard. At this stage, it looks like it's going to break that wick on the close, so pretty well filled that gap if you go off the wicks, but that's an interesting one. That's a sign that there might be some weakness incoming. Ooh, okay. So DJI Gold is, I would consider that a sign that we are going to get a bit more of a drop on the S&P 500 at least. Last time we saw it fall through, last time we saw it fall through a key level of support, it led to pretty big downside on the markets from March this year through to April. I can't remember what that was. How much was that? This dip here. So a bit of a precursor there. Looks like we will get a bigger pullback. Look for that 100 moving average as being sort of a potential pullback level. We might just adjust this up into probably into there somewhere. So be on the lookout for some news around elections or something like that, and that'd be a 5% pullback. 10% pullback would be into the 200 SMA, which is possible as well. But again, I'd probably pull that up into there as a secondary target. Okay. That is the majors. So that's our first real sign there. Everything else still looks reasonably bullish, so yeah, VIX is still flat too, but holding this level, so a spike from here wouldn't be untoward. We do have more crush on the skew as well. So skew crush is a real sign that we're going to pull back more on the general markets. Hang Seng's holding this level, but I still want it to pull back a bit more. I think it will have that in it if the US market drops. Japanese market, decent pullback on that. Yeah, I reckon the 200, so 37,400 is a target level on the Japanese market. Treasuries are sort of holding there for the time being. Yeah, so high yield junk is dropping reasonably hard compared to the rest of the market. So again, another precursor that suggests downside is kind of likely at this stage. 2-year 10 years still uninverted, but 2-year and 10-year yields ripping. So suggesting investors are sort of fleeing to safety a little bit more, longer term safety as well. So that's probably suggesting that stock market not in great condition. Copper is struggling to sort of break out of this pullback. If we fail here, I don't think this box will hold up. I think it'll come back more. I mean, it still kind of looks good for a long, but yeah, even the 200 EMA is starting to catch up to this box, so it might pull back sideways into that before it springs. And this is why DJI gold is pulling back so much. Is gold is definitely favorite at the moment. Yeah, I mean, it could be related to election uncertainty. Honestly, I think that's kind of priced in at the moment. I think there's something else going on. Silver, good day for silver. It's still doing bigger percentages than gold. So good to be in both. Where's the silver target again? I should probably put that on chart. We had to go back a long way, didn't we? Yeah. Well, we're probably at a bit of a resistance level for silver here. Put a vector on that. Yeah. So we sort of hit first target there. It does not look like it wants to stop there though. I don't think. I'd be expecting probably 30. I'm on, for whatever reason, I'm on the Great Britain pounds, silver. If you think the numbers are funny, but so yeah, 29.72. I think is probably a better target, but could also break the new highs as well. What's oil doing? So oil's bounced. Yeah, okay. So good bounce there off the 786. Sort of said yesterday that was kind of the last ditch for oil. If it broke and confirmed below that, then you'd be more worried about further downside. But I think that's a good bounce level. I would expect this to push up and push through the 200 EMA, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And a run up in oil wouldn't be great for an election for the incumbent normally, but it's sort of, we need a decent oil price to really be confident that there's going to be a major recession in the future. It's just something we're looking at. Dixie's still going. Should have marked this off, but we mentioned this vector candle in here is probably a good target. Which is the 104 level I've been talking about. So probably got a bit of a sweep of some key levels. Interesting. Aussie dollars found some strength against it, even though US dollar's still going up. Japanese yen's still coming back though, so 618 level would seem reasonable. It's around a couple of days away, I'd say. And euros coming into those levels that we said as well, 108, 107. I'd be expecting a bounce there, somewhere in that region. Have a quick look at the Brazilian. Brazilian's coming down to some key levels again as well. Good basing structure on the Brazilian real though. If you see a bounce around here and it breaks this channel, could be some decent upside. Money supply is still going up. Percentage of stocks above 50-day moving average has come down pretty hard. That's because the Russell's coming down quite a bit as well. Mag 7s had a little bounce. That's probably why the S&P and the NAS stayed reasonably high despite despite lots of stocks actually coming down. Mag 7's holding them up at the moment, even though most of it hasn't come from Tesla or Nvidia. Tesla's still coiling. Is it earnings today or tomorrow? Today, my time, after hours. That should be happening pretty soon. Unless it's Wednesday US time. Honestly, I don't know if that's showing my time or US time. I would have thought that's my time, but look, I'm expecting Tesla to bounce, to be honest here. That's, if it doesn't, look out below, it's going to come down pretty hard. I don't think that'll really be reached. But just some key levels there. If we do come down, 182, 170. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla hits. If Tesla basically closes the gap on earnings. Nearly 10% move wouldn't be out of the question for this stock. It goes mental. I mean, yeah, momentum's kind of crossed to the downside, but it's just kind of, I wouldn't trust that around earnings. Nvidia's pretty flat to up. Still bullish, really. There's no signs of a decent pullback yet on that. Apple's still bullish. Amazon, Yeah, okay, most of them have had a decent day. Meta's bounced off the 20 moving average on the daily. AMD's flat. Airbnb's struggling to get through the 200. Yeah. ASML's looks like it wants to recover. It's just slow. I think actually Nvidia has good earnings. This will probably recover a bit because its earnings weren't that bad. It was just forward projections, I think. Yeah, it's Ethereum's struggling still with that bloody channel and 200 EMA. Probably like Ethereum, it would make sense for Ethereum to have another down day, come back into these moving averages, and then go for another try, which would kind of tie in with Bitcoin having another down day as well. Even if it finishes here, I would consider this still sort of downside momentum. So yeah, probably another down day today by the look of it. At least the way I'm leaning. Sol's having a reasonable day though. So Sol could actually lead the way here. It's looking not too bad. We have recovered this vector here, and there's not much above that in terms of vector recovery anyway. It probably is on the shorter time frames, and then obviously a target if we do go on a run. Target for a pullback on Sol would be 202. Yeah, I mean it's looking strong, and it could keep going despite Bitcoin pulling back. Riff and Pepe and Doge are all sideways to pull back. Litecoin's pulling back reasonably hard as well. So again, another down day on Litecoin wouldn't be out of the question. Come back into a couple of these other moving averages. I mean, stochastic momentum's high, so you could get a bigger drop, but I don't know, Bitcoin's probably going to lead the way for most, and it's really, to me, I'll just be watching this 200 EMA level and seeing what happens when we get to that. If we break through, confirm, and move away from that, then I'd say that the pullback's done for the time being. If we don't break through, or if we break through and come back down on the bottom side of the 200 EMA reasonably quickly, then I'd actually say that downside's more likely. So I tend to do these things at points in time where there's key levels just about to be hit, but that's effectively what I'm looking out for. But yeah, I think if we do hit that 200 EMA, I'll probably be closing at least part of the long, taking a bit of profit there. See how it goes from there. All right, that'll do for today. Catch you